Robert, do you have any tips for those out there who want to get their vacation or their tourist visa?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked me that, Troy. First of all, that officer is sitting in that booth, and you're making a mental impression upon them before the applicant even speaks. So I recommend they're well groomed. They wear casual attire. They hold themselves straight. They hold their head up. They don't look down. They have eye contact with the officer, and they sit down. They give it a greeting. Now, I like a smile.
Right.
And I think sometimes a smile can go many miles.
That's true.
And have eye contact, and if you speak English, that helps a lot. And don't swallow the words, and don't mumble. Don't be shy. That's not the time to be shy. This interview is going to take not longer probably than 120 seconds.
Right.
And so you have to have a definite plan.
Yeah, so it sounds like you need to actually maybe practice a little bit.
That helps a lot.
Right.
If you have a professional prepare you, we do it at our office in Manila.
Oh.
And we do it all over the world to go to the embassy. Because somebody might have a pretty good case, but we can always make them better.
So I was also thinking, who also are considered candidates for U.S. visa?
Good candidates for a U.S. visa are people that have traveled to other countries. The more stamps you have in that passport, the more likely you are to get a visa because you've already shown that you're going to go back to your home country. Also, people who have a high position in society, have a high-paying job, have a long-term employment, have family in their home country, children, and they're not bringing them with them. They're almost guaranteed to come back. And older people that have been settled in here, or people that own property, they want to see the social, economic, and family ties to the home country.
Attorney Robert, how about when people have like an invitation letter from their families?
A lot of people present invitation letters. I don't believe they do any good. First of all, the officer wants to see that you have the finances to go. A lot of these invitation letters say, well, we're going to provide all the money. They don't want to see that. They see it all too often. They want to see that that individual has the money to pay for the entire trip. They don't want to know that someone else has paid the plane ticket, because that means they don't have the money to pay the plane ticket, and they're going to get denied.
Right. With that, with the invitation letter, how about if there's some false documents or some, let's say, false claims?
Well, a lot of the false claims are when they ask the question, do you have family in the United States? Are they legal? The embassy keeps records of every family member that goes to the United States, and if they catch them in that lie and say no, they may know the mother may be there, their wife may be there, their parents, and if they catch them in that lie, that's a fraud. Or if they present a fraudulent document, and they catch them on that, and they catch them a lot, they're forever barred from getting an immigrant visa. Now, there is a waiver if they get an immigrant visa, but that's very difficult to get. If they don't lie, they tell the truth, and they get denied, they can always go back to the embassy. And the embassy might be more impressed that they're telling the truth and give them a visa maybe on the second shot. But at least they got a second shot to go in there and get a visa.
What about people that overstay?
That's a very good question. I call it the B2 extension trap.
Oh, okay.
Now, people go to the United States on a visitor's visa that very typically gets 6 months. But then towards the end of the 6 months, they say, well, I'd like to stay another 6 months, and they apply for extension. USCIS, the Immigration Service, is getting much stricter on giving extensions. And what happens is it takes them 3 months to process it, and then they send out a denial, and it's retroactive. Now they have overstayed, even though they were waiting for the approval or a denial.
Right.
Then they go back to the Philippines, their home country, and then they go back to the embassy at a future date to get another visa. It's called Section 222G, and they're barred.
Yeah.
They're barred. They have it at the embassy, and if they have a visa already, and it's a multiple entry visa, and they try to get back in after they overstayed, in other words, they don't have to go to the embassy and get a new visa, they'll be turned around at the airport because they overstayed. These computer records are very accurate now,
Yes.
and they know. It used to be if you left the country, they didn't know. They looked at a stamp that you re-entered your home country. But now the airlines turn over their manifest, their list of passengers, and it goes into the computer. So when you enter and when you leave, goes into the computer. So if they overstay, it's going to be very difficult coming back.
Myth: immigrants take jobs and opportunity away from Americans. Fact: the largest wave of immigration to the United States since the early 1900s coincided with our lowest national unemployment rate and fastest economic growth. Immigrant entrepreneurs create jobs for U.S. and foreign workers, and foreign-born students allow many U.S. graduate programs to keep their doors open. While there has been no comprehensive study done of immigrant-owned businesses, we have countless examples. In Silicon Valley, companies begun by Chinese and Indian immigrants generated more than $19.5 billion in sales and nearly 73,000 jobs in 2000.
So let's say I were planning to extend. What kind of time frame would you give? If you said that at the end, they do it at the end, maybe they should apply a little bit earlier.
Well, that's difficult too, because it's like threading a moving needle. If you apply too soon, within the first 60 days, they're going to say you intended that all the time. So they're going to deny you then. So you can't wait, you can't do it too soon, and you can't do it too late, and it better be well documented if you're asking for an extension. Better to go home and stay there 6 months and come back.
Right. So Attorney Reeves, let's say I've got my visa now and I'm ready to go. So everything's done, I'm off to the airport.
You still have to keep your guard up because there's another gate you have to go through. That'll be at the airport, and there's a big team of inspectors there, the Border Protection Security, and they're going to ask you. They're going to ask people, why are you here? They have a computer record. If you have a driver's license, a social security card, they're going to put you into secondary inspection. And in the secondary inspection, it's not a picnic. They'll keep the person there 4 or 5 hours and work them over with a couple of different people. So they should be well prepared for both the embassy and the security at the airport.
That sounds really rough. What if I had an attorney present there at the airport or the embassy during all this?
Well, unfortunately, the embassy, most embassies in the world, the United States embassies in the world, don't allow attorneys for visitors' visas. They just don't want to see them, and also they don't allow them at the airport. So if somebody gets stopped at the airport and goes in what they call secondary inspection, they cannot have a lawyer. In fact, they don't even let them make a phone call. The only phone call they can make is to their embassy.
Let's say I was a PT or RN and I wanted to get my tourist visa to take my U.S. licensing exam. Is that like a normal practice?
Well, in the past, the embassy has been very generous with giving PTs and RNs visitors' visas to come take the exam. However, things have changed a little bit. The quota or visas available has backed up. It's backed up for several years. So the embassy now knows that even if they get their license, by the time the visa becomes available for them, that they'd have to take the exam all over again because it's only lasts a certain period of time. So there's no temporary visas for nurses. However, with physical therapists, there are temporary visas called a H-1B. It's a temporary worker. So they still allow the physical therapist to come to the United States to take the exam. However, nurses, they know that the NCLEX exam is given right here in Manila. So I'm hoping that the visas will become available under the president. He's talked about comprehensive immigration reform. I'm hoping within a year that these visas will become available for nurses and immigrant visas for physical therapists. But physical therapists still can come to the United States and they can still get temporary work visas.
Attorney Robert Reeves, it's been a pleasure seeing you again.
Troy, pleasure's all mine. Thank you very much.
Thank you. If you're planning to come to America, you need to know exactly what it takes to get your visa. So remember what our experts discussed today. It pays to be prepared.